A very warm good morning to all of you. Respected Dr. Sunila Thomas, today's resource person, Father Joseph Verghese, Secretary of St. Thomas Mission, as well as Principal of MGM Model School, Naya Raipur. Respected Vice Presidents, Principals, and my dear teachers. Welcome to the 4th day of the Pedagogical Training Series organized by MGM Group of Institutions for the Principals and Teachers. If I asked you which is the subject you like most while you are at school, I hope most of you might answer mathematics. That's why you are the maths teachers today. But if you ask your students which is the subject you dislike most, unfortunately, many might answer maths. Some of the students are even scared of the subject. There may be a lot many reasons for this fear. One of the main reasons is unfortunately the role of the maths teacher. A teacher who is dull in his or her attitude would also extinguish the student's desire to learn. He or she would slowly start disliking the subject. On the first day of our pedagogical training series, we learned about how to modify the attitude and behavior of a teacher so that the students are inspired to love learning. Today, we would be learning about various methods and tips to instill a passion for mathematics in our students. May I call upon Father Joseph Verghese for the welcome address.
A very good morning to one and all present on this 4th day of the Pedagogical Training Series 2021. As we are here as a teaching fraternity for yet another webinar through which we are being trained to enrich ourselves and to be more serious on our profession. Our DEO, Reverend Father Joshi Verghese, is very keen not to miss any year without a training for our teaching fraternity. As we are here on the 4th day, the subject, the topic which has been taken is maths. And the topic for this session is addition and subtraction to multiply the divide ends. As rightly been said by our DEO, that it so happens that many of the students try to refrain from this particular subject or are afraid. And the main cause of that fear or lack of interest in the students is that the basic concept of the maths is not being made clear to them. Being teachers, when we deal a subject, we need to look into this particular aspect to make clear and clarify the doubts of our students, which then only our teaching would be more effective. It so happens that unknowingly or knowingly, the teachers try to ignore such type of difficulties or not able to clear up the doubts of the students, which affects the career of a student very badly. So we need to understand the clear concept of any topic which we deal in regard to maths, and make it very clear to the students, the concept. If the concept is made clear, I'm sure the students would be able to grasp the maths or the topic which we are dealing in a more better way. I am here to welcome all the dignitaries and participants for this webinar of the fourth day, the topic being addition and subtraction to multiply the dividends. I hope that this day would be a very interactive session by a great good deliberation. We have a great eminent person as a resource person to give us insight on this particular topic. Mrs. Dr. Sunila Thomas, Associate Professor, Titus II Teachers College, Thiruvalla. I, on behalf of MGM Group of Schools, wholeheartedly welcome Dr. Sunila Thomas to this webinar. On behalf, may your interactive session be an enrichment for all of us in a best way. I also welcome all the respected fathers, respected vice presidents, respected principals, and all the MGM family teaching fraternity to this webinar, and may this webinar be a very interactive one, enriching all of us, so that our future teaching profession become more interesting and more effective one. May the Almighty God bless us. I welcome one and all once again. Especially I express my sincere thanks, as well as welcome our educational officer, Reverend Father Joshi Varghese, to this session. Once again, welcoming one and all. May this session be a good, enriching one. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. I request our resource person, Dr. Sunila Thomas, to take over and continue with the session.
Thank you, Father. So, good morning, one and all. Respected Father Joske Varghese, Father Joshi Varghese, dear principals of MGM Group of Institutions, dear teachers, and all dignitaries present today. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be with you all. Thanks to COVID-19, just because of COVID-19 only, we could share this digital platform, and though we are across the country, we are meeting on a single platform. So let's make this day a great day. And I congratulate all the teachers present today here, as you are the generation builders. Maths being the essence of everything in life, everywhere maths is there. So maths teachers should be the essence of teaching any concept. So before I start, let me just share my screen. Are you able to see, Father?
Not yet.
No, yeah, sure.
Yes, it's coming in.
Is it clear, sir?
Yes.
Father?
Yes, we can see it.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible and you are also audible.
Hello? Father?
Yes, madam, you are audible.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Can I start?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. 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 So, dear teachers, I purposely selected the theme, adding and subtracting to multiply the dividends. Maybe when we hear this add and subtract and multiply and division, it might be a bit boring for you. But I have not taken it in that sense, because as teachers, we need to add something. Just 1 minute. Yes. We need to add some ingredients to enrich our teaching. When we add some ingredients, we enrich our teaching. We need to subtract some of our prejudices that we have about our learners. When we combine these two together, we can multiply the joy of learning the subject among learners. So when we multiply the joy of learning among the learners, we get the dividend back as their gratefulness, their joy. This is our dividend. This is our bonus as teachers. So it is essential that mathematics teachers should enrich the teaching strategies, should know more about the learners and help the learners to enjoy the subject. Because all over the world, mathematics is a subject which is hated by most of the students. When the results come, I'm sure the maths teachers are the most tensed group of teachers, because what is the result pattern? How many of them have passed? How many have secured good marks? What has happened? We have been struggling hard to teach them. And what has happened actually? So this is our fear usually. So how can we enrich our teaching? This is what I intend to do today in our session today. As a teacher educator of mathematics for the past 27 years and with some schooling experience, I learned many things from my experience, and that is what I wish to share today with you. So actually, what is teaching? What we do is we try to transact the curriculum. We try to impart the information that we have, and we engage our learners to enable their understanding and application of knowledge, concepts, and process. So as a result, teaching in the present scenario cannot be in this pattern, because we cannot engage as such. It should have some more meaning to it. So in the present scenario, you have to get students involved in the active construction of knowledge. I'm sure for the past few weeks, the webinars that you have been attending would have focused on the active construction of knowledge. And here also, for mathematics teaching, this is the most essential component, because without learning by doing, no child can learn the subject. The other subjects, even if they read or memorize, they might be able to do. But for maths, they have to do and then get involved. So active involvement of the students in the construction of knowledge is the essence of mathematics learning. So teaching is not only to transmit the information, but what we have to do, we have to generate active learners in our class. Because now usually when the timetable is given to the students, they'll search for the most interesting classes they want. If it's maths, they'll say, oh, next period is maths. oh my God, now we have to do problems, all these variables. So this sort of attitude is there among people. So we have to change their attitude towards maths. So unless they love the teacher, they will not be able to love the subject. So let's see how we can make them active learners. So what happens usually is, when you conduct a program, when the school is conducting a program, if we have some role to play, we are more involved in it. If you're just a participant, it's okay, you take your own time and then you come and sit and do certain things. But when you are supposed to do a prayer or a welcome or any activity there, you are involved in this more. So your responsibility is more. So that is the principle of active involvement. When you see that, when you feel that your students are involved in one activity or the other, they can generate knowledge. They get interested towards the subject. So the usual teaching methods, as you have heard in the previous webinars, the same thing can be applied, but some more stress will be given to certain methods that can be used in mathematics. And during your BH sessions, you would have definitely learned this. I am just rewinding everything that you have learned. So maths, as I said, it is in life, in nature. Maths is the life of a student. So the most essential component is you are relating the subject with life. I'm sure teachers would be doing that. Knowingly or unknowingly, we will be doing. But the pressure of the load of syllabus on us may not be encouraging us to always relate the subject with life. So that is what happens usually. So let me just quote my situation, my example. I have 3 daughters. And when my eldest daughter was very small, some 20 years back, she was sent to school. I mean, she learned all the things, and I was so happy. Being a maths teacher, I was so curious to find out how she learns. So in her natural process, one day, evening, she told me she feels hungry. I took 3 pieces of bread and I thought of toasting it on a pan. You know the shape of bread. It is like a square shape. And when I kept these 3 pieces of bread, I got a shape in the middle of it. I hope you also could visualize that shape. So I was so curious. I called my daughter. I said, Jem, come fast. See, I'm toasting bread for you. Can you see any shape in between these 3 bread pieces that I've kept? I could see the curiosity on her face. She just looked into it. So as a mathematics teacher, I was expecting that she would be saying triangle. But what she said, yes, Amma, I can see a shape. It is the shape, symbol of Asianet channel. I was really amazed. Just because I was a mathematics teacher, educator, I could control my attitude towards her. Had it been an ordinary mother, maybe I would have scolded her saying, when I send you to school and you are more interested in watching TV and all those things. But I just controlled, and I was so happy that I got an example to relate the triangle, the shape of triangle with the TV channel. I know that children are very much interested with TV programs and all those things. Why don't we get certain things from those things also? So I started analyzing the various channels that we see. What is the shape there, the geometrical shape? And certain channels also, I mean, could give us some of the shapes, like Heuristic channel has a geometrical shape. So many of the things can be related like that. So that actually was an eye-opener for me. Whatever we see in nature, whatever the children are doing in their day-to-day life, they can relate with life. So why don't we teachers help them to relate the subject with life? Many concepts that we teach from our younger days, especially KG students, junior class, they want the concretization of the subject. They need to get a strong background. They need to love the subject. So that should be the motto of each teacher in the primary section, because that is where the child develops his innate capacity to learn the subject. So like when you teach ratio, you can say dividing equally among others. So the value of sharing value of sharing with others can be inculcated in the life. I mean, among the learners. Whatever topic you take, you talk about congruence triangles or congruent figures, similar figures. Again, you can relate it with the real life experience. You talk about bricks. Why do we need congruence? If the bricks are of the same size and shape, then only the construction is possible. If it has an irregular face like the stones, the building cannot be properly structured. So congruence, again, you talk about the different keys that we produce. So if you want to duplicate, it should be in the same way. So in that way, for any concept in mathematics, if we relate it with life, it will be easy for the child to understand, and it will be easy for the child to develop interest towards the subject. So what happens? Naturally, the child, when walks within the nature, will be trying to relate the concept of what he has learned in class to their nature. And just imagine symmetry. We can teach symmetry anyway, but ask them to look at a butterfly. The symmetrical pattern God has provided there. Our face itself, the symmetry is estimated there. So like that, any topic that you take, arc, if you want to teach arc of a circle, talk about the crescent-shaped moon. You can talk about the bridges, the arc-shaped bridges. You can talk about a broken piece of bangle. So they will be able to concretize the subject. Now coming over to statistics also. I'm just giving you how you can relate subject with life. Statistics. The main thing is measures of central tendency. When you start, you talk about average. They are familiar with average. But when you talk about median, mode, you just teach them the formula to calculate that. But why can't we relate it with life? Where is median used? Ask them to look at the weighing balance that they see in the shop. The middlemost point is considered. That is where the equality of balance is established. So middlemost observation. Where do we put our bindi? Bindi is put on the middlemost part of our forehead. So again, the middlemost observation is the most essential component there. Again, children play on seesaws. Where is the middlemost point, the fulcrum kept? So again, the concept of middlemost observation can be shared. And when you talk, the students are arranged in an ascending order or descending order in school assembly. If you want to get the average height of a student, you need not measure all the heights of students. You can just pinpoint one student from the middlemost position and get the average height of that class. So in that way, ask them to search for more information related to this concept. Now coming over to mode, also the same thing. Mode is again a measure of central tendency in statistics. But mode, we know that in calculation purpose, we don't use it most frequently, but still mode, the basic principle of mode is being used throughout the life. Election, we take the candidate, we select the candidate who got more number of votes. Textiles, you go to a shop, you ask for a thing which is in more demand. More people want it, the shopkeepers take that. So the principle of mode is used there also. So any topic that you take, parallel lines, you can show many things, lines of a notebook, opposite sides of a scale, opposite sides of a desk, opposite walls of a classroom. Any concept can be related with life. Ask them to observe the classroom that they are sitting, the rectangular shape, the square shape, the floor tiles, everything can be related. And so relating maths with life is important. And when you teach problems also, relate the topic. You may be taking from the textbook the problem, but you can relate it with the student over there. For example, Girish has a cow. He wants to take it. He wants to sell the cow. So on what basis will he be selling the cow? So in that way, a puzzling situation can be shown. The amount of milk is needed. So how can he say the amount of milk for one day? He has to get the average of it. So in that way, you try to relate it with life. I'm sure you'd be doing it. I'm just reminding you these things. So for smaller classes, relating the concepts with life will generate interest in the learners for higher studies. So now coming over to the heuristic method, I'm sure you would be familiar with it, because in heuristic method, the child is put in the place of a discoverer. Maybe the teachers will be giving out the answers, but you have to see that an opportunity is given to the child to discover the knowledge. So when you ask questions, mode of eliciting is important. Rather than when we get tensed to finish off the portions, we may not be asking questions. You give a problem, then you'll be saying, okay, it's given, radius is given, height is given, you write down. And what is the formula? You write down. And that is how you do it. But no. Heuristic method wants a child to be put in the place of a discoverer with the help of a teacher. For that, the teacher has to ask true heuristic questions. When I say true heuristic questions are simple sentences. They are thought-provoking questions. They are well connected, because once it's connected, the child is able to generate ideas, concepts, or whatever it is. So the questions that you ask is very important. It should be true. When I say true, there should be an opposite of it, false also. False means which does not generate any curiosity in learners. For example, if I ask about square, if I want to ask, I want to know about the sides of a square. So if I ask, are the sides of a square equal? If I ask like that, the child doesn't get an opportunity to think anything. The child may be saying, yes, but I can ask in a different way. What can you say about the sides of a square? What can you say about the angles of a square? Then only the child starts thinking. So all the guessing type of questions, we have to avoid it, because the natural tendency for the teachers is to say, so 5 plus 3 is 8, isn't it? When you say like that, the opportunity for the child is gone. You can ask, what is 5 plus 3? Come on, we are encouraging them. So whatever the child says, try to encourage the learner to go ahead. So that is why it is proceeding from known to unknown. Heuristic method focuses on known to unknown principle, because what the child is familiar with it, you start from there and you go ahead. So if you want to introduce circle, morning, the first session is if you can start the class with, okay, children, you have all had breakfast. What was there for breakfast? So some might be saying chapati, some may be saying dosha, some may be saying pulav or anything of that sort. So take off chapati from there. Okay, now what is the shape of chapati? Okay, from there, you can ask them to relate the shape of circle with other things that they have observed. Papad, moon, full moon. So the rotation of fan. The children will be so curious. Young learners are always curious and they want to ask questions frequently. So encourage them to ask questions and generate. Paragraph questions is there everywhere. So this is where you can adopt analytic synthetic methods. Analytic method means analysis. You are helping the learner to unfold a problem. You are helping the learner to come out with simpler idea within a complex situation. So when a question is given in a paragraph form, you can ask, what is to be found out? Major questions I have given. What is to be found out? What is required for that? What is given? Organize the data to get the solution. Let me give you an example. We know cone. They have already learned cone. Let me just give you a situation. You are asking, find the volume of a cone whose diameter of the base is 12 centimeter and height is 10 centimeter. The usual pattern for us is, we'll be saying, yes, the diameter is given, so how much will be the radius? The height is given, so how much will be the height? Now, what is the formula? We have learned, no, 1 by 3 pi r squared h, so substitute and finish it. But what happens to the majority of students who sit in the class? So for them to understand, we can enable the learners to read and find out. So the first question that the teacher should ask is, what is to be found out? Please read the question and tell me what is to be found out here. So the child will be learning, the learners will be reading, and they'll say it is to find the volume of a code. So what is required for that is a skeletal part of it. Then you'll be asking, so what is the formula to calculate the volume of a code? So they can give out the answer. See, they are thinking and then giving. Now, read the question and tell me what is given there. Yes, it is given that the diameter is 12 centimeter, height is 10 centimeter. Now, again, how can you relate diameter with radius? See the way it comes. So when the relationship is established by the learner, they will know that radius is half the diameter. So if the diameter is given, how will you find radius? So they'll say 12 by 2. Okay, now what is the height given here? 10. Now, how can you substitute these values in the formula? What is R in the formula? R is the radius. H is the height. If it's given, how can you substitute? So the advantage of this method is that majority of the students who have not understood the concept of radius or height or diameter is getting another opportunity to learn it even without asking, because the teacher is asking questions in such a way that the students are able to answer, and at the same time other students who don't know the answer will be able to relate it, so they can be on track. So let me remind you, analytic method is for teaching purpose. So synthetic method is for note giving purpose. So when you write a notebook, you will not be asking all these questions. But once the concept is clear, you can ask the students to write down based on the way that we want. That is given diameter. So hence R is equal to H. All those things the teachers will be doing. I'm sure you're all experienced teachers. And you know about inductive, deductive methods. It is actually the generalization of concepts from a number of examples. So that is, you proceed from example to rule. So if you want to teach certain theorems, if you want to generate formulas, this inductive deductive method will help. Not every class you can use, but still the interest to create. So you have to start from example to rule. So suppose you want to establish a theorem. Some of the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. Base angles of an isosceles triangle angles are equal. For all those things, simple examples, you start from simple examples. So you can give different cutouts of triangles, ask them to measure the angles, and let each group come out with the answers, and they finally generalize that it is all equal. So from that, the formula or the theorem can be generated. Base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. Ask them to draw a perpendicular to a horizontal line, perpendicular bisector, I mean, and ask them to mark certain points on the perpendicular bisector. You mark with a pin. Add pin to it. Ask them to put a rubber band across the major pin and the two sides of the line. It is an isosceles triangle. You can ask them to measure the angle there. So the rubber band can be changed alternatively towards a higher mode in the perpendicular bisector. So they can generalize that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. So there are many situations you can do using this inductive deductive method. So that is why we say that follows the principle of proceeding from example to rule. Now, laboratory method. I'm sure now laboratory method is an essential component in mathematics teaching. We need to have apparatuses like protractors, all those things, especially chart papers, for them to construct and then get them convinced. Let them measure, let them do and get convinced. Rather than hearing directly from the teacher, many of the constructions or many of the things have to be done by them with the help of the teacher. So that is why it proceeds from concrete to abstract. And the innovative strategies now that we can adopt in classes are think, pair, share mode. You give a problem, let them think individually what they have gained information about it. After that, ask them to share their idea in a person next to them, share in pairs. So when they share, they'll be more confident to share and the idea is more concrete. And the teacher can finally consolidate it, what they have shared. You can ask them. So the group, rather than answering in a as a single person, they prefer to answer in pairs or groups. They are more active in groups. So this is what we have to think. And now I'm sure you've learned about brainstorming sessions also. Brainstorming also is a very good mode of technique of teaching in class. At times, when you feel that the students are feel bored, you can adopt this brainstorming for a project method. As a mathematics teacher, you can just give them a variety of project. Ask them, now we want to construct a garden in our school. So the mathematics club is going to construct. As students of standard 8, how can we construct a plot? I mean, a rectangular garden. Where should be our plot? So for rectangular plot, let them come out with many ideas. Each person comes out with ideas. No restriction of ideas. You are not criticizing any student. Whatever ideas they give, it should be noted on a board or a book. So it should be recorded. When you write the answers of students on board, they are encouraged. Yes, teacher has accepted my answer. That sort of feeling comes to the learner. So he will be more interested, motivated to come out with more answers. The principle of brainstorming is quality breeds quantity. Sorry, quantity breeds quality. The more the number of answers come, you get quality modes of thinking. So projects or any activity that you give, you can come out with many ideas. I don't know whether you have experienced the brainstorming session in previous classes. Father, did they get an opportunity to experience brainstorming session?
For not this particular group, for other subjects.
Okay. So this is a simple example I would just like to share. I'm having a pen with me. You can think of the possible way. It's not thinking. Actually, you have to unmute and please share your ideas. What are the uses of this pen? Can you just spare 2-3 minutes to come out with your ideas? What are the uses of this pen? One by one, you can share. You might be thinking why it's, you know that it's to write, then what else does the teacher need? Think and then tell me. One use is to write. Can anyone think of other uses of this pen? Dear teachers? Let me tell you, you can keep it as a bookmarker. You read a book, if you want to get up from there, you can keep this pen as a bookmarker. You can underline many main concepts using this pen. You can highlight certain things. You can point certain points. You can keep it as a prestige in your pocket when you get expensive things. You can use it to scratch. You can give it as a gift. See? Pardon? Any idea? I've given you more ideas. Now I think you can come out with more ideas.
Ma'am, they have given in the chat box.
Okay. I'm not able to say it because the screen is there. Okay. So, whatever ideas that we generate should be recorded on a blackboard. So, when it is recorded on a blackboard, the student feels comfortable. Yes, my answer is being accepted by everyone. See. So, that is the principle behind brainstorming. You're storming your brain to come out with more ideas. You're making your class lively. So this is another method, technique of teaching the subject, not for all topics, but for certain topics, you can ask them to come out with more ideas. So now comes another strategy, let me tell you, this cooperative learning. I don't know whether you've been using it, but let me tell you, my research topic was actually on cooperative learning, and I tried this cooperative learning on young learners, 7th standard students, and I found it very effective. And to be frank, till this day, I'm using cooperative learning in my college, or I've been insisting teachers to use cooperative learning in your classrooms. Initially, when you think, you might think, how? Wow, what is this? It is actually, the students are assigned in different groups and to work on different tasks. You might be giving it. But here, the changes or the differences, you can see. The teacher has to introduce a topic. You give all informations regarding the topic. If you want to teach about area of right triangle, you can talk, discuss, give them the main points, the formula to calculate it, and all those things can be explained. After that, it is the role of the students, because they are going to learn now how you can assign them in groups. So each group will be given a different topic. Especially when you want to do problems, this can be adopted. The groups should be classified. The students should be assigned to a group in such a way that they have different ability levels. So in that way, if you categorize them, the first group can be given 1 or 2 questions. Second group can be given another 2 questions. Third group can be given a different 2 types of questions. Fourth group also the same way. And the students of each group, I've just taken 4 students each. Just given the name also. Let it be 5 groups, 5 students in one group or 6 students in one group, no problem. Let them sit and discuss on the questions that they have got. So when group 1 is discussing on questions 1 and 2, group 2 will be discussing on questions 3 and 4. Group 4 will be, 3 will be discussing on 4 and 5. Like that, you can decide. Whether it's one question also, no problem. But the teacher's role here is to visit each group. You have to supervise the group, whether they are on the right track, whether they are explaining or whether they're learning it, whether they are mastering the topic. So once you feel that they are confident with the problem solution, they are able to do it, because, you know, peer language is more efficient than teacher language. Even if a teacher teaches in class, they have a tendency to ask their friends initially. So when the students get more comfortable with their peers, they tend to ask even simpler doubts rather than asking teacher. Even if in a seminar, you just see, even if you sit in a seminar, if the resource person is transacting or giving information, if you have any different, confusion, in the first step that you do is to sit, ask your doubt to your friend sitting nearby. Then only you might be asking your resource person, usually. So students always prefer to have peer language. They prefer peer language, and that is why this method is very effective, I said. And I call it a jigsaw model, because I'll tell you towards the end. So in this first phase, the students are learning the topic that is assigned to them. Even simple topics you can give. They let them learn, let them master it. Once the teacher is confirmed that the students have learned their respective topics, you can reshuffle this group in such a way that the new group formed will have each member from each group. That means the new group will have members from each group, in the sense group 1 will have a representative of topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4. So group 2 will be also having representative of topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4. So here, what each member of the group is expected to do is, they are going to teach their peer members what they learned in their initial group. Okay, so what they learned in their initial group is being conveyed, or it's being taught to their friends. So each member gets an opportunity to listen to their friends. At the same time, he feels proud that I was able to convey the idea to my friends. So they are being accepted, they are being more involved in it, and they learn it. Let me tell you frankly, even if a teacher is absent, you can assign this technique there. You can allot this technique where even the bell rings, the students are not bothered about it. They continue it because the team spirit is there. Each team wants to learn everything first. The responsibility, when you do it, it is essential that you do it in high classes, 7th, 8th, 9th, no problem, but be serious about it. The teacher's role in the first phase is essential. In the second phase, you just need to observe whether they are all doing it rightly. Just support from minor part that you can do. So in the second phase, they are learning questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are doing it. And once all the groups have completed this, the teacher should assemble, ask them to sit together. Now it is the turn of the teacher to ask questions. So when you ask questions, see that it is asked to another person who has learned from a friend. So what happens here is, when the students are trying to answer, the person who taught them will be more accountable. They are more tensed. Oh, will he answer it correctly? If he answers it correctly, my God, so he understood what I told. So that is the sort of accountability that they get over here. So this actually has so much of merits. Each individual gets to know the portion by teaching and learning from each other. They are acting in double roles. They first learn and then they teach also. So each person gets it. So every child is being involved in it. And also a positive interdependence is there, because one person has to get the information from the other one. So everywhere that positive interdependence they feel among each other. And also it promotes face-to-face interaction. Let me tell you, I have been trying this many years. Very effective, especially when you want to do your revision questions. No, you divide them into groups. They can work wonders, because the students get the responsibility to do things. If they have doubt, they'll ask. So the teacher's effort is not to shout and teach everything, but you are giving the role to the learners under your supervision. So this is a very important and very essential technique that should be adopted in every classroom. So as maths teachers, we know that learning by doing is essential. We need to assure that our students get the confidence to do problems. This will be developed only if they are in small groups. Because in a large class, they fear to ask doubts. They fear to show the books. It all happens. And the teachers will be also tensed because we have to finish the portions. Initially, you might be feeling, how can this happen in one period? No, it will not happen in one period. You may have to take next consecutive days also, because the first period, you'll be giving general introduction about the topic. You want to give the necessary information about the topic. Second period, you might be asking them, assigning the topics to them, and they will be learning in the class under your supervision. You are there to supervise, and you are going to substantiate what they have learned. So once a teacher is confident that they have learned every concept, then only you can reshuffle them in such a way that the students of each topic forms a new group. There, they are teaching, they are generating. Only thing is that the teacher's keen observation is essential. And once they get used to this technique, they'll tell, teacher, we are interested to do in this way. We are involved in it. In a normal classroom, what happens is the backbenchers or some students who are hesitant to ask doubts will be keeping there like that, keeping mum. Those who are in the front or those who are very active in class will be giving out their answers, and the teachers feel encouraged to proceed with the topics. So, and finally, last minute only, the burden comes on the teacher that such children are not able to cope up. So then we go for remedial teaching, we go for everything. But at times you try for important topics, make them do problems in this way. If it's in a small group, the teacher can also communicate effectively and teach according to their preferred mode of learning. So this is the essence of teaching or learning through cooperative learning. And let me tell you, there is individual accountability. Each child is accountable to the other person, because the blame will come if he has not taught it properly. So that sort of attitude should be developed in our learners. It is not that the self-development, the team as a whole has to develop. So when the teacher gives a quiz or a test, the students of one team will be given the score only if all students are able to answer it. Not just one student answers and get the score. No. If the whole team members are asked individual questions, and if they are able to answer all the questions, then the team gets a point. So in that way, they want their team members also to come along with their learning. Many schools actually adopt academic groups. That can be done for homework writing and assignment doing and all. So it is the responsibility of the team to see that the work is done by everyone. Then only they get the star or any grade or whatever it is. So the team spirit should be inculcated in learners, because this has a main value that not only myself, my team members also should grow. That value should be inculcated in our learners from young age itself. Now, this is a new concept, art-integrated pedagogy. When you talk about art-integrated pedagogy, now CBSE is insisting so much on it. Actually, initially, when we thought about art-integrated pedagogy, we were also so tensed. My God, how can art be incorporated with our learning the subject, especially mathematics? But to be frank, we are beautifully using it. Our students are preparing resource materials on art integrated or cartoon concept. Cartoon concept means the shapes or whatever topic that you want, you generate it in a cartoon format or the talking among these concepts. I'll give you an example. I'll show you what they have done. So using cartoon concept, the interest among learners can be generated. Role play, especially in mathematics, you can have role play. Beautifully, they'll do it. I'm sure young teachers, younger generation, small classes, they can very well do role play. Different geometrical shapes are there. If you want to teach them the characteristics of each shape, you can assign one person. You can tell, now you are parallelogram. Prepare the features of parallelogram and you can design a parallelogram and come in front and say, I am a parallelogram. I have my opposite sides equal and I have my diagonals. They bisect each other. So in that way, they can consolidate many of the ideas related to parallelogram. The next student can come. I am a rectangle. I also have my opposite sides equal. My angles are 90. That is the peculiarity. So each geometric shape, any quadrilateral that you want to introduce, see the way the students are involved in it. When you want to teach multiplication in younger class, small classes, the same concept of role play can be there. Multiplication tables, usually we teach 1 into 2 or 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4. There also, you can pair the students there. Two students has one pair. So the first pair goes. So 2 1s are 2. Second pair also goes and joins it. 2 2s are 4. Third pair, 2 3s are 6. How many are there? So in that way, the concepts can be developed. And multiplication or any concept that you want, it can be developed in this role play model. You can relate mathematics from nature. Any concept, similarity, as I told you earlier, relate it with life, golden ratio. Many concepts are there in life. The Fibonacci series, if you want to teach, give them the project to generate it from nature. Our human body is the best example of golden ratio and all those things. So in that way, we have to generate art-integrated pedagogy in our learning or teaching system. Let me try to show you one sort of art-integrated pedagogy. Okay, this is about solid shapes. Okay, so this is an activity done by our students. So enjoy learning. This is all about solids. Different types of solids are there. And maths being a difficult subject, the learner can learn on himself, even without the help of a teacher. Here, the teacher student has created a story, developed a story based on this. It is about Appu's house, and somebody comes and rings a bell, and a gift is kept there. He gets a gift. See, it's all drawn. Okay. And wow, what is this? See, a box is given, but he's not able to read what it is. So this is art-integrated pedagogy. And he arranges and says, oh, yes, I got it. It is solid shapes. And who are all inside? Appu opened the box and could see many solid shapes there. This is an art-integrated pedagogy. He found all these shapes. And the shapes are talking among themselves. Do we all belong to the same family? My God. So each one of them is trying to explain. So you can give ideas like this. They explain. Each face is shown. Edges is explained. Vertices is explained. I am hungry. What to do? So we need ice cream. See, so the learners should get an idea, okay, an interest to learn the concept. For that, each shape is explaining things. The shapes are fighting, and who am I? One over the other, they have come, and each person is trying to explain. I am cube. I have actually in the book, they can open and verify the answers. This many faces, and which are all equal squares. I have this many edges. I have vertices, this many vertices. You can find me as all the examples from life they have taken. Ice cubes, burfies, and I'm cuboid, the same way. So each geometrical shape is being introduced in this pattern. Okay. And actually, this learning resource material ends with worked out examples for them to do on their own, revision exercise. So this is one example of art integrated pedagogy which can be used. It's not that the teacher has to sit and work on these things. You can give opportunity for the learners to do. Younger classes, if the teachers are able to draw, it's very nice that you can generate such ideas in your class so that they develop interest in the subject. So whatever they learn, it will be an enjoyable mode. It is not a burden for them to learn about all these things. So this is one type of art integrated pedagogy which our children just generated with examples to show about all these things. Yes. This is the revision exercise for them. They can do and then generate the ideas. Whatever they have learned in that material, they are able to do it here. So the child also gets a feeling, I have learned something, I can relate it with life. All those things are being taught in this way. And how does this book help? The learning outcome can be also shown in this way. This is one type of art integrated pedagogy that you can use for solid shapes. There is one more. If you don't mind, I'll just show that too. Yes, it is about negative numbers, crazy negatives. This is also another art integrated pedagogy. Here, the numbers are talking to each other. You can see a 0 here, a -1, -2. So it's the dialogue between two numbers, 0 and 1. Hello 1, and the other person says hello 0. So 1 and 0 are talking. Hey 1, can I ask some questions? Yeah, of course. Please ask. That is how it is. What's 1 less than 3? 2. Silly. Why such types of questions? What is 1 less than 2? It's of course me. 1, isn't it? That is a way. Now, what's 1 less than 1? You only 0. This is the way the dialogues between the numbers go. Now, okay, what's 1 less than me? 0 is asking, what is 1 less than me? Then the number 1 is getting confused. What is that? I don't know. I'm crying. So he's crying. 0 is explaining. Say, why are you crying? Just look behind me. Because you know that the negative numbers are behind 0. No? So you look just behind me. 1 sees another person there. Hey, who are you? Me. I am the neighbor of 0. Neighbor, I've never seen you before in our land. Where are you from? Okay, I'll show you my house. Now, -1 is showing where he is located. I've come here to invite you to my home. Okay, sure. 1 is ready to go to -1's house. And you can see, how may I reach your home? Please show me the route. So now, the intention is to show the location of -1 actually on a number line. So if you walk one step backward, you reach 0's house. That means from one step back, you reach 0's house. From there, you reach, if you walk one more step backward, you reach my house. That is how the art integrated pedagogy can be introduced in our class. So any topic that you take, you can ask the students to relate it with art, the flowers, the paper cartons, or any idea can be generated. What happens is the learners get interested to learn the subject very effectively. And you can ask questions and generate more concepts from this. So this is one sort of art integrated pedagogy which you can use in your classroom. And now I think it is very important as far as CBSE has insisted. So it is always better that we move on to all these things. Okay, I have been discussing all this time regarding the various methods or techniques that we can use in class. I just discussed about the method of relating the subject with life. Any concept that you take, it can be related with life. So when you relate it with life, learners get more interested to know the subject, because maths class usually becomes very dry with all variables and numbers alone. So the concepts, whatever you teach, if you can relate it to life, and if you are able to convince the application of each concept in life, they'll be more interested, because nowadays the students want to know what is beneficial for me if I learn this. Why should I learn this? Even when we were young, we used to ask such questions. When I remember, we used to learn area of rectangle as length into breadth, but never were we convinced how this area is length into breadth. But when you say that the area is the number of unit squares that can be placed on a figure or a shape, you divide the rectangle into unit squares and see how many squares can be placed. So if you have a rectangle of 3 centimeter length and 2 centimeter breadth, ask them to divide it into different unit squares. They'll naturally see that there can be 6 unit squares placed on a rectangle. If you count the number of squares, that is the area of that rectangle. That is the area that can be generated. So why is that area is usually represented in unit squares? So this is how you convince the learners. Yes, because it is based on the number of unit squares. Even if you see the graph paper, you can see small unit squares there. So the area is always used by counting the number of unit squares placed in that. Area of not only rectangle, any shape that you take, it is being counted like that. So that is why we said related with life. Then we discussed about the various methods like heuristic method, inductive, deductive method, analytic, synthetic method, especially for higher secondary or high school. And then we discussed about think, pair, share. We discussed about brainstorming. You have laboratory method. You have project method also that can be introduced in classes. Now, I'm sure after listening to this much of time, you may feel bored. And let's think of our students who sit in our class like this. For constantly, when we have extra classes, we make our students sit for long. But I think we need to relax now. I'll just play a video and see how many of you can do this game. This is just a game, okay? Just see if you are able to locate it. Identify it. Okay. How many could you find actually? I hope you enjoyed the video. Though it was a relaxation technique, I had some agenda behind it. See, one thing is, when you feel that your students are hectic, you can introduce such videos in your class so that they can be kept interested in the class. And the other thing is, as teachers, you can see that students look alike everywhere, but there are individual differences among learners. Are we able to locate such isolated students from our class, such students who are in real need of us? In a whole class, we may not be able to identify many students. So it is our observational skill that should enable us to pinpoint or identify certain students who have certain problems, or their attitude is different. They might be sitting disinterested in class. There are many students or different worries, and they come from different family backgrounds. So as a teacher, once if you know the learner, the teaching becomes more effective. Whatever methods you have, you will not be able to implement it unless you know how they prefer to learn. And that is where role of learning style of an individual is essential. Let me tell you, even not only individuals, every person, including us, have a preferred mode of learning. Some may want to read and learn, some may want to write and learn, some may want to hear others do it. I'm a person who wants others, I prefer to listen to people. So I'm a person who wants to hear the sound. Some, actually, even our children at home, they also have a preferred mode of learning. Without knowing this, we as parents, we as teachers may be insisting on our children to read aloud or to do this the way we want. So that is the most dangerous part. Why I'm telling you is this is my combination of research. I did research on learning style of students and how it can be enriched using cooperative learning. So I found it very interesting and to know the learning style. First, I tried with my children, my own children, and I could find the various learning styles. So I thought even we should know the features of each learning style group in our class. So especially for mathematics learning, we can find 4 types of learners. But let me tell you, it's not only for mathematics. Anything that happens is related to these 4. There are other learning styles also, okay? But I'm more interested in this, and that's why I'm sharing this. The first group, let me just tell you, activist. They are the people who are very much willing to do anything that you give. You can find such learners in your school, in your classroom. Whatever activity you say, even without thinking of it, they'll raise their hands and say, "Ma'am, I will do it." They are not bothered about the consequences of it, but still they are willing to do it. The activists, without thinking of anything, they are there. Theorists are the people who want the detailed information. They're not satisfied with mere peripheral information. They want it. So what they do, they read the text, they prepare their own notes, and they go ahead like that. They want from teachers. They want the teachers to explain everything, and they need it, and they analyze it. They do it in that way. They want a systematic way of writing notes. You can find such students in your class. They have their notes in a systematic way. They prepare everything systematic, and they also add to your notes. I mean, whatever you say, they might refer more books and come and ask you, "Ma'am, even is this suitable? Sir, can I add this too?" They want it in a systematic way. Even teachers are also of this group. Pragmatists are a group of students, or are those people who want to know the practical application of anything. So even we are one of us would be this. Many of us, like even in our younger days, when our teachers used to teach many concepts, we used to ask, where is it applied? Why do we have to learn all this nonsense? My God, who created all this? Newton's law, this law, and where is the purpose for it? Why should we learn? So that is why I said, any concept that you teach, please tell the application also of it, where it is used in life. Whatever you teach, there should be some application for it. You can convince such learners only with this way. And they want to try. They prefer learning by doing, actually. And reflectors are those students who want to sit back and ponder. They would just think what I should do. They'll think of the various possibilities. They'll see others doing. And then they'll see what happens if he does that way. Is there anything wrong? So they analyze the thing in a various dimension. So if a problem is given, they will not immediately start with the problem, but they will think over it, but they'll do it perfectly. They want time. So suppose as teachers or staff, any person is of this character. We need all these four actually in the school also, because activists are those persons who are willing to do any program in school. They are ready. Come on, father, we will do. We are there. Theorists are the people, they want to get a detailed layout of how it is going to be implemented and what we are going to do. Pragmatists are the people, the practical application, what is to be implemented. I want it step by step. I want to know it. So application, they will do it, but they need more of the practical convincing why we are conducting this. What is the purpose behind it? All those things have to be answered to pragmatists. Reflectors are, if you tell them initially, they may not involve. They might sit back, wait. In group discussions also, they may not participate much, but they will listen to every discussion. Then they will come out with certain ideas. So these students are in our class also. When you have these students in our class, you give problems. You can see the activists, they'll write some blunder, maybe not wrong or right, they're not bothered, but they'll start doing without even thinking. Theorists will read, they'll write it in a step-by-step manner for the answers. Pragmatists may need step-by-step help because how it is applied. They want to know where this formula is applied. So, ma'am, I've completed, now what I should do? This way, they seek help and then they do it. Reflectors, even if you give the problem, they'll think, is there any other way to do it? Is this the only way where we can find the value or any other way? So creative thinkers are reflectors. They come out with ideas, but they need time. Even in our family, you can see these characters. Let me tell you, even we are one among it. I feel I am an activist. At the same time, I'm a pragmatist also. You can have double learning styles. So suppose our learning style does not match with the learning style of the learner, there will be a problem in the classroom. Because if it's a teacher who is an activist and the learner is a theorist, activists will say, come on, do it fast. I want, do it fast. So students who are theorists or reflectors or this thing want time to think and do it. Now, if a teacher is reflector, teacher may say, don't do now, read the question, think over it. Some students get irritated. And that is why children may not like one teacher who is liked by other students. So don't feel bad that it is not because our teaching is bad. It's not that way. The wavelength of these teacher and the students should match. Then only they like. So that wavelength should be matched. For that, the teachers should know all these learning styles. At home also it happens. Just imagine you buy a new mixie and keep. What happens to the theorist? Theorist will take the manual and start reading the whole thing, and then only they will try on it. Suppose the wife is an activist. Husband is theorist and wife is an activist. Wife will be energetic to try on it. Come on, let's do. Now husband will be scolding. See, what are you doing? Read this first and then do. Pragmatist will call a demo person. Pragmatists will call the shop and get a demo person and ask each and every question and how it is applied and how it is done and get it done. Reflectors will sit back and ponder. When the demo comes also, they'll just see everything and ask about the various pros and consequences of this. So if these four people are given cycle to ride, just see how the scene would be. The theorist will be analyzing each part, and if he gets a manual, of course, he'll read and then only he will think of riding a cycle. Pragmatist might call the help of a person and say, Bhaiya, please, how am I to ride? What should I do first? Then how? You please hold me. I want to do it. So he wants to try. Reflector will just go, stand back and see if that person rides, if he falls, what is the reason behind it? So if I ride this way, I might fall. So what I should do to not fall? So this way, the pros and consequences will be thought of by the reflector. Activist will not bother at all. He is not bothered about the pros and consequences. He'll just take the cycle and ride. And if he falls also, he's not bothered. So activists, if there are activists in our class, the discussions will be lively. They will give comments. The classroom is so lively. And for these people, even the career choice is different. Let me tell you, theorists usually can go for research. because they need to have a systematic presentation of ideas. So they read books, they get from higher authority more information. Authentic information is more important for them. So such students can opt for research. It's ideal for them. Pragmatists will, they want to try everything, and they are always the application level category. Engineering field is very essential, very good for them. They can try and do everything. So engineering is good for them. Even let me tell you, even though we have not become engineers or scientists or whatever it is, these characters are there with us. Reflectors, because they have the ability to think from various dimensions, they can become public relation officers. They can become counselors because they can give ideas after listening. They have the ability to listen patiently to others. And then only they come out with various ideas. Activists should actually become, choose a profession where they need an emergency, especially medical field, because they cannot sit back and think and then analyze before when a patient dies. They need to do immediate actions. Even teachers have to be activists at times, because in a classroom we find different students with different problems. So if we think and sit and analyze and get the permission and do certain things, time will go. So those situations which demands immediate action, activists function properly. So a combination of all these learning styles will help a classroom to become lively and get more fruitful also. Now, I've just presenting a learning style inventory. If you want, you can try and see if you belong to any of these characters. So it's always good to identify one's own learning style first. Then only we can see how our students are. What are the things that I should take care? How I can make my teaching effective. I'll just read the question. The first one is, I prefer A, hands-on learning experience, B, learning through thinking and reasoning. What is your preference? Do you want to have always working out exam experience, or do you want to think and reason out things? Which category are you? You can mark A or B. Sometimes it happens you may be A and B also. No problem, you can mark both. No problem. The next question, I tend to rely on feelings when making decisions, or rely on logical reasoning when making decisions. Is it your emotion that comes first when you want to take decision, or is it the logical way, by rule, by fact, how it should be? A student comes to you, he comes late. By rule, you know that he shouldn't be late. But is it your emotion that decides, or if he doesn't do homework, what does that makes you feel? So is it by rule that you decide to, or is it by your feelings? I like learning through simulated experiences or through lectures. Simulated experiences through role play or artificial experience that you get. You want to visualize, you see something, you want to concretize and then learn, or you can hear directly from lectures and then learn. So I hope I can move on to the next slide for the next set of questions. I learn well by practical experience or by applying theories to hypothetical situations. Do you depend on theories, or do you depend on the practical experience to learn more effectively? What is that you prefer? The next is, I am best at learning facts, or I am best at learning concepts. You know that facts are universal truths. Concepts are the idea, mental idea that is formed within oneself. So how do you learn things? Is it that facts are focused more, or the concept is focused more? That is the question there. And the sixth one is, I learn more effectively from my peer or from my teachers. You prefer to sit together with your peer member and then learn from your friends, or from your teachers you prefer to learn? So these are the 6 questions in part 1. You can count the number of A's that you got, number of B's that you got. You can write your score there. Shall I move on to the next slide? Father? Okay. Part 2. I learn best through active involvement in projects or through observation. You want to do projects and then learn, or you observe many things and then you learn. Which one do you prefer? If you have both, no problem. You can do C and D. You can mark also in these questions. I would rather, this is just an example only, do volunteer work with the disadvantaged group, or you read about disadvantaged group. Now let me tell you, now it's the COVID season. So you know that you read many things and you get, you get that feeling bad about the people who suffer. Or are you doing something for the group? Are you able to do something? So do you do volunteer work, or you prefer to read about these people and get more information and then only act maybe? I prefer assignments that require me to work exams. That means you're given some activity to do and you prefer to work on that way. Or do you prefer to, do you require to think about situations? If you're given an opportunity to create some situations about it, you're given an assignment on think creatively and come out with an idea or come out with a project that you can do. Or if you're given a project, will you be doing? So that is it. I prefer assignments that require me to work examples or to require me to think about situations. For this also, next part, I tend to jump right in and do something new, or think about possible outcomes before trying something new. When you hear something, what is that we do? Or do you wait? Now the problem here in the new digital era is whatever you get in your WhatsApp, even without thinking, we start forwarding. But there are people who think about the authenticity of it, or what will happen if I forward this. So where do we belong to? That is it. Maybe we are trying to do something good, but I don't know how it is. I learn well through participating in a discussion or listening to what others have got to say. So what is that you prefer? You want to interact in a discussion, or do you want to sit quietly and listen to what others have got to say? And the last one is, I learn best by doing, or is it by watching and then reflecting? Do you watch what others do and then you think about the various consequences and then you learn? Is it that way, or you want to learn by doing things? Now, during lockdown also, you have seen cooking. All of us are trying many types of cooking or many types of gardening. Is it that you learn by doing, or you watch and then you reflect and then you start doing? What are the defects? What are the problems? And all these things you analyze and then you start doing. Okay, so these are the 6 questions in part 2. You can count the total number of C's. You can count the total number of D's also here. So part 1, you've got C and A and B, and part 2, you've got C and D. Now, shall I move on to the next slide? Shall I move on to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you have got B and C as your combination, you are a pragmatist. It is the practical application of ideas that you rely more. If you have got an A and D combination, you are a reflector. You are creative, you are imaginative, you can view a concrete situation from many perspectives. If you have got B and D as your combination, you are a theorist. You have the ability to understand and create theories. If you have got A and C as your combination, you are an activist. You are risk takers, and you are able to take quick decisions. You are action oriented. See, we need all these categories. Each style is important for us. Where we need immediate action, a child has to be taken immediately to the hospital. You need an activist there. Because a reflector might think, what will happen if I take the child to the hospital? See, the father will come and scold, the auto driver will shout, I have the next. So much of various consequences may be thought of. So that should be clear. When the activist is there, everything is there. If you need reflectors also, because before taking a decision, we have to think about it from various aspects. The rule of the institution, some problem has come, how we have to think of it. You need pragmatists also, because they can generate the application of ideas and then come out. You need theorists also, because a systematic layout is needed for anything that you do. So we need all these aspects. But the problem lies where the students are also of this category, and the teacher, if the teacher is unaware of these characters, we will not be able to do. Let's have a look at the characteristics of pragmatists here. Your students may be of this type. Even those pragmatists among yourself will be having these things. They don't want detailed information. They want to see the essence of it and do it. They want to know the practical application. They can get on things with and act quickly and confidently on ideas. They are weak on tackling abstract ideas and background reading. They don't have patience to read everything and come out. They do not learn well from concepts or events which seems distant from their reality. They want everything in a concrete manner. They cannot visualize and do things. But they can have a practical application. They can get on with things and act quickly and generate ideas also. So this is where pragmatists are. Whenever you talk to a pragmatist, a pragmatist will say, come on, don't detail all these informations. You give me the important aspect. I have no patience to listen to these things. So you can think of the students of such characteristics in your class. If it's an activist, they learn best from short here and now tasks. They don't also need any detailed information, but they can involve in a discussion. They'll be the star of the group. They can come out with ideas, brainstorming sessions, and all those things are very good for them. And for them, I'll try anything once. They are always risk-taking people. They don't want a repeated action of it, but they prefer risk-taking. The consequence is not at all a problem for them. They are ready for everything. So in a group discussion also, if the answer is wrong, they come out with ideas. They're not bothered about what others will think and all those things. We need such students in our class, very energetic people, but we have to tune them to come out with better ideas. That's all. Reflectors, I told you, you give them a problem, they might not start immediately, but their feeling is be cautious. Even if they write the answer, they will be hesitant to show the teacher, because they want to find out first from their friends whether the answer they showed was correct or not. Then only they'll show their notebook also. This is how reflectors are. They're keen on listening to experts and doing background reading. They are unlikely to be at their best when presenting ideas. Usually, they will not be coming forefront and doing things. But there are situations when you have a combination of learning styles, they will do it. And the theorist, they are analytical. They love detail. They are very hardworking people. They are perfectionists also. They have a logical, structured approach. And they can join together the bits of information. They like to read plenty of books. They like to listen to plenty of lectures. They like to write notes in a systematic way. They learn best when they can review things in terms of a system or concept or a model or theory. They always like theories. They read theories, they read the principles behind the theory, and they can grasp abstract ideas. So these are the 4 categories of students who sit in your class. Now we have to decide which teaching method will be suitable. Now you may be confused. See, how can I give one method for one person? No, not like that. It is to find out, identify the appropriate learning style of your students, and you can give individual attention there. You know a specific role that can be assigned to such persons. If you have theorists in your class, their notebooks will be pakka. Everything is systematically written. They can be asked to give ideas to the students. They'll give it. They can be given topics for seminars. They'll take beautifully. If you have pragmatists in your class, you can give them to work on models. They will draw, they will work, they'll construct figures for exhibitions, they can do many things. If you have activists in your class, they do immediate discussions. You want to send them for a debate or anything, they will work. You want to ask them to generate ideas, they will simply coordinate everyone, organize a team, and they'll come out with ideas. If you have reflectors in your class, they can think of various possible solutions, various ideas. They're creative, and the best can be taken by the group. So all these four are very essential, and teachers, if we are in match with their learning style, if our learning style is in match with the learning style of the students, they will easily understand what we teach. Otherwise, some disparity will be there. Once a teacher is aware of these things, teacher can cautiously tune the teaching methods accordingly. At times, you can have brainstorming in your class. You can have cooperative learning strategies in your class. You can have a heuristic method in your class, inductive method in your, because it suits everyone. It suits everyone. So lecture method, the combination with a purposeful idea. It is not unknowingly that you do, but you should know that my students are, or some of them are this category, some of them are this category. So a multi-sensory approach to teaching can be adopted when you teach mathematics. That is why I said you can relate with life, you can relate from nature, whatever you take, you can relate it with the thing. And especially when I talk about the COVID also, maths can be related to many things. The oxygen saturation level is important now. Again, it's the essence of maths is there. The number of times the corona gets multiplied, the geometric progression can be there. So the way that you do modeling, all those things are related to life. So whatever you teach, you can convince the students that it is essential. The calculus, the integration, all those things are needed in the engineering field. Trigonometry, you use it in the construction area. You need to get the height of long, distant posts and all those things. There you use trigonometric ideas, clinometer, and all those apparatus are used accordingly. So when you relate it with life, such students get interested. They feel that the application of this concept that I learned is there in life. This is how you get to know the learning style of yours as well as the learning style of your students. Now, the role of the teacher comes. Here is where the teacher should act as a facilitator. Teacher is a co-learner. Teacher is a mentor. Teacher is a scaffolder. I told you, according to the learning styles, teacher can act. What the theorists need, they need more information. You can ask your theorist student, take this book from the library, you'll get more ideas. You read and see what you get. You can seek the help of such learners also. That is why teacher is a co-learner. Jointly with the learners, you are learning many things. Teacher is a mentor, because there are some students who feel so depressed, who feel so bad. They are not able to ask doubts. They have a fear. Teacher should act as a mentor. Know the learner by heart. Know their defects. Be pleasing. The teacher's prime duty is to smile always. If you see a smiling person, you also get attached. You feel comfortable when your students look always pleasant in your class. So the same way, the students feel comfortable only when you become pleasant in class. Don't be agitated. Like Tare Samin Ka, no? The one movie is there. So you can see so many students have problems, but based on the problems, you can tackle each student accordingly. But be an approachable person in the whole class. Don't be partial to one student or two students. Though we don't be partial, students feel that we are partial. That is a problem. Because when more focus is given to one individual, the others feel, yes, the teacher is partial to that person. So see that when you ask questions, you can call randomly from every side so that the learners feel comfortable. And for those students who are weak in studies, questions of such category should be asked. So let them experience success in what they do. Success is the stepping stone to the next, I'll tell, not failure. When they experience success, they want to try the next one. So let us give success to our students. Teacher is a scaffolder. Scaffolder means holding him by hands Scaffolder is something that helps externally. A ladder acts as a scaffolder for us to reach on top of a building. So teacher should be like a ladder for the learner to climb and go attain heights. So that is the way the teacher should act. For that, the teacher should have a motto behind it. Whatever we teach, there should be a learning objective. Based on the learning objective, you should create your learning experience, and whether the learning experience is effective is to be assessed and evaluated, and this cycle continues. When you enter the class, you have a feeling. Today, I'm going to interact with my students so that they should get the concept of statistics or the concept of similarity clear. For that, my learning experience should be in this way. I should give them more of activities. If I'm going to teach construction in my class, my objective is to teach construction. The learning experience should be giving them opportunity to construct. The teacher can initially show one construction, give more of construction activities for them. Let it be on a chart paper. This is where you use your group activities. Let it be on a chart paper. Let them construct. Even in notebooks, when they construct, the teacher can encourage the minor steps that they initiate. And if you want to test whether it is effective, you can ask oral questions. You can give them certain construction tests. All those things can be done and get it convinced. So learning objective, learning experience, and assessment is a tripolar relation should be there in your teaching. Our focus is on the learners. Our focus is on the types of learners. So the teaching methods should be suitable, because any dish that you cook, your objective is to cook one particular dish. The vessels that you use should be the learning experience. And after cooking, you always taste first and see if it's good. Or you ask your family member to taste before it is produced to the guest. So evaluation is also very essential as part of teaching. So for that, the teacher should be aware of Bloom's taxonomy. I hope you know it, but still give you a brief outline of this. Benjamin S. Bloom and his associates actually classified the human behavior into 3 domains. We all belong to these 3 domains. We have these 3 domains. The first one is cognitive domain. That is where we think intellectually. It is your head. And affective domain, it is your heart. That is your emotional aspects. And comes your psychomotor domain, which is your hand. That means the skill of it. Every individual has these 3 domains. The only thing is, in some individuals, one domain may be more dominant there, more prominent there when compared to the other 2 domains. Those who are intellectually high will have their cognitive domain more prominent. Such students will be in our class and they will come out with ideas, answers very quickly, intelligent answers. So we will be happy. But there are many others who don't have their cognitive domain to our equally comparable prominence. So there are some students who wish to get interest. So they have their affective domain, emotionally. Their heart is the main focus there. They are interested in many things. So their intellectual domain is not that. They may not be thinking logically, but emotionally, these students have that domain. And the last one is psychomotor domain, where the skill is more important. They are able to do it. We have all these 3 domains. To make it more clear, just one example from life I would like to say. Suppose we are traveling by bus, okay? And you see, naturally experience blocks, traffic blocks everywhere. You happen to come across a block and you're waiting in the bus impatiently. So you don't know what happened actually. So you are asking those who pass by, or somewhere from somewhere you got the information that some accident has taken place, and that is why the block is there. Okay, so you got the information in your brain, intellectually you got the information. Now the bus is moving slowly. As you reach the accident scene, it is not the intellectual domain that functions here now. It is your affective domain, because the information has reached your heart. and your emotion is going to take place. You see the place and you get it so bad. You feel bad for the situation. You are affected. The emotional aspect is functioning there. But when you looked keenly, you happen to find a person whom you know very personally. You will not sit in the bus like that. You will not say, oh, I know this person, and you're sitting coolly. No. Immediately, your psychomotor domain will act. You will get out of the bus and try to help that person. So this is how the three domains function. Now, when it comes to our children, you can never compare your children, your students, one student with the other. Some students may be interested in art. Some students may be interested in sports. Some students may be interested in studying. So when a student is not able to answer a question, please don't ever compare the student and say that you are very interested in sports only. You don't want to study. Go for sports. Don't sit in my class. Look at that person. He studies nicely. You should be like him. We should never do that. It happens at home also. Our children may be of three characteristics, three domains. Their prominence will be in three domains. Never ever compare our siblings. It hurts their mind. We have to find out what their actual taste is and strengthen the other domains through their taste. That is what we have to do. And so affective domain talks about the art aspect. Affective domain talks such children will be more aesthetic, have more aesthetic sense. So we should encourage such things in our class. So don't try to insult such persons. Even psychomotor domain, the skill, work experience, and all those things, the sports, the dance, are all done by those children who have their psychomotor domain in prominence. This is where we have to apply our subject in the respective strengthened areas. Art integrated pedagogy, I was telling. So those students who are wanting to draw, students are very creative in thinking, they can learn the subject better through art integrated pedagogy. You can use music to teach certain concepts. You can use drawings to teach certain concepts. You can use models. You can make them do models, construct models. Once they construct a model, they go deeper into the aspect of that particular shape. That is how they learn. So it's not that they have to always listen to the teacher directly and then get the burden. Let them enjoy learning. That is what we have to do it. Now, I told you learning is based on these things. So here, I would like to say, initially it was like modification of behavior. That is, in the objectives, we have various objectives like knowledge level of objective, understanding level of objective, application level of objective, then evaluation level of objective, creative level of objective. I'll give you a simple example for these objectives before I move on to the next. Suppose you show a model of a circle and you ask the child, what is the shape? You may be showing some other object also and asking, what is the shape of this circle? So this model, if the child is able to reply, it is a circle, you say that the child has attained a knowledge level of objective. If you ask him, okay, what is the formula to calculate the area of a circle? If the child is able to recall the formula, you say that he has got a knowledge level of objective. Now, if he is able to give more examples related to circle from nature or from his surroundings, he has got one more higher level of objective, that is understanding. Teacher, can we consider puppet as a circle? Teacher, can we consider the motion of a fan as a circle? It is circle motion. So in that way, if the student starts asking questions regarding circle, you can say that the child has attained the understanding level of objective. That is a hierarchical. From knowledge comes the next understanding. I know that you know all these things. That's why I'm not keeping you the slide, but just giving a briefing of all this. Then from there, if the child is able to apply these information in a new situation, if he is asked to find out the circumference of a circle, given the diameter, he may be applying this information in an unknown situation. There, he has raised himself to the next hierarchical level, which is the application level of objective. So knowledge, understanding, application. And he should be able to analyze the situations when he is able to face, analyze and give ideas, analyze and rectify the errors. If the teacher makes a mistake, also the child, if he's able, only if he's thorough, can say that, ma'am, shouldn't it be this way? That means he has analyzed it. So analysis is important. Application, analysis. And he should be able to evaluate himself. Evaluate the work that he has done. He should be able to judge it. If he has attained that, you say that he has attained the evaluation objective. And he should be able to create ideas, innovative ideas based on this. Students construct many new ideas. Then you say that he has attained the creative objective. So this is how the objective level comes. That we'll be seeing in our next slides, of course. But still, let me tell you, earlier it was only the objective-wise transition that helps us to say that he has learned something. But now the new concept is process of gaining knowledge through experience. Because when you show a cycle, it is not the parts that you show first. It is the whole experience of a cycle. An elephant, it is not the leg of the elephant that gives information. It is not the tail of the elephant nor the ear of the elephant, but it is the whole of elephant that should give experience, the knowledge gained on it. So when you talk about quadrilaterals, he should get an idea that all quadrilaterals have 4 sides, 4 vertices, 4 angles. So the experience helps him to gain knowledge. Now we have to see how this can be done. So constructing knowledge through experience. I've just shown a picture also there. He is getting his information, knowledge through his experience. So experience is the essence of learning. Give him more of experience, whatever it is. If you ask a child not to touch a fire, he will not understand. But once he touches, he'll understand that it will burn his hand. Next time, he will not do it. So it is the experience that taught him. So whatever it is, the experience teaches. That is why we see students, their studentship now in schools is very less, but whatever they have learned in classroom is not what they have in their mind. But the experiences that they have gained in all the other activities, the way they enjoyed, the way participated in programs, and the fun they had, all those are the experiences that they gained. So that is ever remembered also. They gain knowledge through that way also. So learning in the present scenario focuses on constructing knowledge through experience. So how is that possible? For that, I had shown you that learning style based on David A. Kolb. I'm talking about him now. Learning through experience, you give hands-on experience. Make them involved in the process of learning. See here in the figure, you can see the diagram. The teacher with the students are watering the plants. Rather than showing pictures of plants, they are given direct experience. In the same way, even in mathematics, from nature, you can give direct experience. I told you to teach symmetry, you show a butterfly. From nature, the child is automatically loving the nature to see many, many things. To show symmetry, you can show the arrangement of leaves directly. You can take from nature and show it rather than showing a picture of it. So it is the experience that the child gets. And for that, this is actually the experiential learning is coined by David A. Kolb. Don't worry about the definition there. I'm just reading it for you to understand. It is a process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. So it should result from the combination of grasping experience and transforming it. First, you have to grasp the experience, then only you can transform. When the teacher draws or constructs a figure, the student is observing. When he is getting an opportunity to construct, the student is getting the grasping experience. And once he constructs, next time he is able to transform it. Whatever we learn in class, he should be able to transform it in real life. You teach him addition, subtraction, all those things in class. The child should be able to go to a shop and get things and the balance how much he gets. He does not have to use calculator there, but he should be able to transform what all he has learned in the classroom or from the school in a new situation. So giving experience is the ultimate solution to learning the subject, whatever you do. So for that only, all the teaching methods have been introduced to you. Give experience through all those methods rather than making our students passive listeners or passive recipients of what the teachers say. Let them come out with their ideas. Give experience. If you want to conduct a tour, if you want to plan a tour, give opportunity to the learners, students. They will plan it beautifully, but under the supervision of teachers. If where they go wrong, you can explain or give them guidance there. So this is experiential learning. This we can use in our class. You give a concrete experience, you show a model to them, model of anything, or you bring a brick to the class itself to teach about the rectangular prism. You show that the child gets so much of experience from it. He is able to sit back and think about it. You compare it with a stone. You can say that bricks have a definite shape. It has definite, and the top and bottom faces are congruent. You teach and they are convinced. Based on this, the experience that they get through their concrete situation, they think back or reflect on the observations that they make. What should be more added or how it can be done. And that helps them to conceptualize certain aspects. And that enables, that motivates the learner to try again. This cycle should happen. Now, simple example, let me tell you. During our lockdown, we all tried many things, gardening, cooking. How did we do? We would have searched YouTube, got this, and the first concrete experience that we got was by trying it. When we tried, we got a hands-on experience. When we tried, we found that I should have been careful with the fire that we use. I should have been careful with the salt, amount of salt that added. All those are the reflective observations regarding the experience that I had. Based on the reflective observation, I can conceptualize and say, yes. So when I cook this, I should add only this much. This particular vessel will be nice to cook, and these ingredients are suitable. In that way, you are conceptualizing the matter. And that helps me to try again. And the cycle continues. Even in the classroom, it is like that. Give them the experience of constructing a figure in class. Construction, we need to teach. First, when they construct, the compass will not be in appropriate position. The protractor they may be using in a different position. But teachers have to be patient enough. Once they do it, they learn many things. I should use the protractor in this way only. If I take it in the other way, I cannot take the reading from the other part. So how should I keep it? How should I keep the protractor? How should I measure it? How should I use a compass with the pointer and the pencil? All those things they are learning. And based on that, the abstract conceptualization takes place. And that helps them to actively experiment. Same way for doing problems also. Let them start doing the problem. What should be taken first? How it should be? The reflective observation takes place and abstract conceptualization takes place, and later it moves to active experimentation. So what happens to the concrete experience? It is the action phase. As I told you, they are encouraged to perform action and they get a new experience. Start with a project, field study, or any activity that you give. It is a direct experience that you give. So once you do that, they are encouraged to reflect on their experiences. You can ask them, what was your feeling when you did these things? What were the defects? What were the feelings? So when you ask such questions, they are able to conceptualize it. So the experience that they got, with that, they add the information to the existing knowledge and a new concept is formed. Just like adding, dividing a rectangle into two triangles. So they get a new concept that two triangles, when joined together, form a rectangle. Observations they made, they have conceptualized it, and they are ready to try again and again. This should be encouraged among learners because the learner capabilities are, we need more actively involved students in the experiences. We don't want idle students in the class. Maths class should be lively. They should enjoy the class. It should not be a burden. Just imagine a class where the teacher comes around, forms them in groups, gives them activities. Teacher is encouraging them, at times giving them brainstorming sessions. The class will be lively. No child will hate the subject. And the child will be able to use his analytical skills. They are going to conceptualize it. And decision-making skill is developed. Problem-solving skills will be developed. This helps them to become competent in future also. We don't want bookworms in classrooms. We want energetic, young generation to rule the country in future. So that we have to start from our classroom activities. And this is a cycle just for you to analyze it. You give experience in class, let them review, reflect on the experience that they got. They are going to conclude or come out with ideas from there. They can plan and try out for the next phase. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the assessment part, because I told you teaching is complete only when you plan your objective, you plan your learning experience, and it can be evaluated. So how can the students be assessed? Can I proceed further, or is it time? Should I? Hello? Hello, Father?
Yes, yes.
Can I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
I will not take much time now. Okay, I know. Okay. See, assessment means it's actually the methods or tools used to evaluate, measure, and document your academic readiness. You're trying to find out the learning progress. Now we know that the high secondary CBSE schools or high secondary schools are forced to cancel their 12th grade exam. So what happens now? The schools are supposed to submit the assessment value, the score of the students. For that, we know that just 3-hour exam is not the final product. The schools will have to generate more ideas on in which all capabilities the students have and how it is. So it is an ongoing process that we have to do. So the various dimensions of assessment should be clear to you. The first one is assessment of learning. How well they are learning. It is a summative assessment. This is the final. Whatever they have learned, you are assessing to find out the final output. But we need an assessment for learning. First, I said assessment of learning. Assessment of learning means they are learning the final outcome, how much they have gained. This is what you are assessing. But assessment for learning is to help them improve in their learning process. We need to assess them. Where are their defects? What should be improved? How should it be rectified for him to proceed further? This is assessment for learning. And the last one is assessment as learning. Let me tell you, it is not the last, it is the most important thing. Because you can take a horse to a pond, but you cannot make it drink. Just like that, unless the student is willing to change, you cannot change. You can tell him many things, but if they have to change, they need to decide it on their own. That is the fact of assessment as learning. Let's see. Assessment of learning, I told you, it is the assessment that becomes public, that decides the future of the student. It happens towards the end, just like the board exams or the exams that you conduct in school. So here is what the teachers have to be careful. Now we are supposed to give the internal assessment, I hope. But at the question paper, how have we constructed our question paper? Have we catered to the various student diversities in the construction? That is what we have to think. So every student before the exam is ready for happy mood to write the exam. But once he enters the classroom for the exam, gets a question paper, you can see how terrific it becomes. The usual answers, the usual remarks that our students after the exam, they come and say, ma'am, the paper was too lengthy. Ma'am, we studied all these aspects, but none of them came. Only from that part it came. Ma'am, most of the questions were very vague or too easy. What stupid questions, ma'am? It happens with our children also, our own children at home. When they come, they also feel dejected. Ma'am, Mama, the questions were so tough. It was not at the level of our category. None of us could do. So all these remarks are often heard by teachers, often heard by parents. Now, when it was the board exam, we could complain to the board, saying that, see, the board, the question paper was not good. But when we are supposed to construct a question, we have to be careful, because we have none to blame. Only ourselves. We have constructed the question. So when you construct a question, we have to think for whom we are constructing the questions. It's for which standard, what category of students do we have in our class. We know that majority of the students are average category. Almost 60% of them, I suppose, are in the average category. You have a below average category of students in your class. You have an above average category of students in your class. So this is how the students of your class are divided. Now, how can we satisfy them? That is, you have to cater to the different levels of learning. I told you initially, they attain knowledge, they attain understanding, they attain application, they attain creativity also. So without transaction, when you transact the curriculum, these objectives in the hierarchical order actually are gained by the students. Let's see how the category of students are classified under these objectives. You can see that the below average students are able to attempt questions like knowledge level or understanding category. I hope you understood when I explained it there. You ask direct questions, direct formula, or anything of that to recall something, that comes under knowledge level. If you ask some examples, that comes under understanding. So knowledge level and understanding level category, a combination of such questions will help the below average students. You can see that the average students can attempt understanding level of object questions and application also. They are always ready to attempt knowledge level of questions. They can attempt understanding level and also application level. They are happy with such questions. And the gifted students or the above average are there. They'll be happy if your question paper has questions of application type and creativity type. I had given you statistics regarding the percentage of students belonging to each category. Average is the majority, 60% of them. And below average is just 20%, and above average is again 20%. You might be asking, is it the same for every time? Majority. On inductive method, let me tell you, this is a class where you can find. You will have definitely below average category and above average category in your school. Only if the school just classifies them as above average as one division and below average as one division, this may not be there. But in a heterogeneous group of class, you can definitely expect these three categories of this, where the average comes to be majority. So, when the average comes to the majority, how should your question paper be? Your question paper should have more of understanding and application level questions. Your question paper should have some questions of knowledge and understanding level. Your question paper should have some questions of application and creativity. If your questions are focused more of application and creativity, the majority of students will be saying the question paper was tough. If you focus more on knowledge and understanding, again the majority will be saying it was too easy. But if your question focuses on, question paper gives more importance on understanding and application level questions, you can satisfy your average group. But you should satisfy the below average and the above average. For them also, some questions of this category of creative level and knowledge level also should be there. So that is how you should consider when you prepare a question paper. And see, knowledge level questions, when you construct, you can have the structure of questions starting what is, how is, find, define, who, when, all those things are there. Understanding level, compare, illustrate, explain, interpret. All those structured words can be used for testing the understanding level of question. The application level will be analyze, solve, prove, simplify, distinguish. All those things come under application. Creativity comes under develop, discuss, elaborate, or construct. All those things, all those words can be used under questions focusing on creativity. Let me just share you a sample question common to all. What is the purpose of an ATM cum debit card? What type of question should it be? You would have got the answer, I hope. Okay, let's check. I'll give you the next one. Explain the difference between a debit card and a credit card. It's common for all, I'm just giving you. So here, from a higher level, from a smaller level, the child should be able to explain the difference between a debit card and a credit card. So he should be aware of those three things. So it has come to a next level, and you can see, analyze the situations where a debit card can be used. I hope you understood which situation is used and what precautions will you take while using a debit card. See, these are the 4 types of questions, and I'm sure the first one you would have given as knowledge level of objective, second one as understanding level, third one as application level, and fourth one as creativity level. Because knowledge is just they need to give the purpose of an ATM card. Understanding is difference. If they know the knowledge about the debit card and credit card, if they are able to explain, you can say that they have attained the understanding level of objective. If they are able to analyze situation, because only when they have a thorough knowledge or an understanding about debit card or credit card, they say about the situations where it can be used. And creativity. Precautions taken by each individual may be different. So a creative person can come out with more variety of ideas how the precautions can be taken. I've just given you a sample type of question. When you prepare question paper, please see that it helps you. Now, coming to assessment for learning. Till now, we were discussing on assessment of learning. That means the summative assessment, the final exam, or the class test, or the term-wise exam when you construct, that type of assessment of learning is there. Now, when it comes to assessment for learning, this is very essential for a teacher, because in the ongoing process of learning in the classroom, teacher has to frequently ask questions to develop your lesson. Teacher has to frequently test and see whether they are on the track with us. So it is essential to find out whether any learner is finding any difficulty. So it's not just finishing of the portions, but at times you should have oral testing. You should have questions in class. Every class should have questions. You should have conduct quiz or sudden test. That will help to find out how far the learners are progressing, which helps them to learn better in future. Now, this is assessment as learning. Actually, I told you, it is actually a reflection of their own work. They need to have a self-assessment. Even we need to reflect on ourselves. Was my teaching suitable? Was it effective for my students? What changes I should incorporate? How should I modify? Did I hurt the child? Did I hurt that person? Okay, I should find out his background. So in the same way, you are trying to improve yourself, because, after dressing up, if you want to go out, you always look to your mirror and then move. That is why I've kept a mirror there. You can evaluate yourself. Am I presentable? Am I perfect in all ways? So in that way, if there is any defect, you can rearrange everything and move. So self-assessment is essential. For a learner also, you can give self-assessment tools. You can give certain questions and ask them whether they are able to do it on their own, or they need help, or they need to learn further. So they are helping out themselves. Unless they decide that they need help, you cannot improve them. So self-assessment, peer assessment is also essential. Peer assessment is when the friends come and tell. Any program a child does, if you get appreciation from the friends, hey, your program was superb, you did it beautifully. That is a peer assessment. That gives a motivation for the learner to come out again. When the students do a problem on a board, or when they do, reinforcement can be given. The peers can encourage him. The peers can say, you shouldn't have done it in that way. That is peer assessment. More than the teacher assessment, they accept peer assessment. So they learn to assess self by themselves and evaluate, and they decide to learn. That is why most of the boys, how much ever you try to make them sit and teach them, they will not. But towards the end of exam, they get the inquisitiveness or the taste to learn. So what happens? They have decided themselves, I don't know this part, I don't know that part, I have to learn. Then they get motivated to learn. Otherwise, whatever you try to do, they will not. So in between, when you give exams, in between the class exams, will help a child to direct his study. And portfolio, again, let me tell you, now CBSE has insisted on portfolios, preparation of portfolios. Whatever activities they do, whatever assignments they do, that can be kept as a document for them. That helps them to analyze, oh, I got only this much marks for the first term, I should get more. So it is actually, a portfolio is actually a baggage containing all the activities that they do. Just like how you go for an interview, what all documents you have to prove your efficacy or efficiency is your portfolio. So just that way, the students should know what all are their activities and how far they have performed in it. The performance continuous assessment is essential for the development of a learner. Now, this is the thing. Through assessment, I have shown you a picture of a sports person. Diagnostic assessment I have given. This always all teachers should know. We have to locate the exact difficulty of the learner. Because here you can see the runner, before getting ready to run, his shoelace was loose. That was the problem. So we have to help him identify the problem. He is tying up his shoes to get ready for the match. So in the same way, find out locate the exact difficulty, give him remedial teaching accordingly, then he can be on track with others. Otherwise, doubts after doubt, problems after problems, it will be piled up and they will not be able to come out. So continuously, if you can follow up your students and diagnose their difficulty, where exactly they want help, give them immediately so that they can proceed along with others. The next assessment, I can show you formative assessment. I told you in the ongoing process of learning in class itself, we have to track them according to our class. So that is why I've given you a picture of a person, a coach running along with the candidate, along with the individual sports person. So each and every step the learner is being, or the individual is being guided, how we should proceed. Come on, go. The sort of encouragement, everything is being given by the coach there. So initially itself, the formative assessment should play a major role. And you can see an interim assessment. Interim assessment is in between. Your management institutions, group of schools are there. You can conduct unit tests and you can know where your students stand, how far they can be improved, how much more they can. Those who are capable of scoring more, what more can we do? When they are being compared with other schools of your same category, interim assessment takes place. That is how unit test and all those things have to be conducted so that it gives an encouragement for the learners to learn further. What improvement should I do? Not only for the learners, it helps the teachers also. Because when the result comes in the interim assessment, when you feel that your class has to improve more, then you should think, my strategy has to be changed. I have to do something for my children to learn in a better way. You can alternate your strategies and come. And the last one is summative assessment. Summative is the final outcome, the public exams, the final result that the students have to tell out to everyone. What is your percentage? If he has to attain till this stage, all the other assessment process has to continuously go, which will definitely help the learners to proceed further. That will be beneficial for the teachers also. Last minute tension can be avoided if you can identify your difficulties of the learners at the earlier stage itself. So with that, I think assessments will help the teacher what to teach, how to teach, and how effective was my teaching. The assessment of a student helps not only the student, but also the teacher to find out how effective it has to be. Now, we are in a digital platform. I talked to you about all these methods. Just hardly 5 more minutes I'll be taking. I talked to you about all these assessments. I talked to you about the various methods, I talked to you about the learners. But now we are in a handicapped situation because we are not seeing our students. Father, are the students able to come to class directly now there, or are they also on digital platform?
On online only.
Online only, yes. So in an online platform, it will not be easy for the teachers to identify the learners accordingly, as we say. But once it is in a normal situation, all these things can be done. I have certain small tips for each one of us, how we can improve an online platform class. Here, we can concretize the situations using virtual reality or augmented reality in class. You can show figures or video recorded sessions can be incorporated and shown in class so that the concept is more clear. The students find it interesting to attend classes. And also, you can assign students to take seminars on digital platform. Whatever it is, you make them do problems, you take so much of effort, you are wasting your effort. You call one student, you assign each problem to each student. Let them get personal help from you. Let them teach on a digital platform. So when they are assigned roles in class, they become actively involved in it. And let me tell you, each class should start with a rapport creating session. You may directly enter, but before that, we have to get rapport creating. Rapport creating is a friendly atmosphere should be created for the learning environment to be enjoyable. So you can ask about the whereabouts of the students, what they did and what enjoyment they had at home, any problem, personal talk can be done, and also get to know the feedbacks, whether they are interested to learn, what more activities do you need. A rapport can be created in an online platform. So we do not feel bad that we are not seeing our students, but personal talks will definitely enable the learners to be a part of this learning session. So any ideas that you get, you can ask questions. There are students who just switch off from the online platform. I know that. It is there. But once the rapport creating sessions are there, you can ask them to create games and present in the class. You can ask them to conduct quiz sessions in class. You can ask them to present important news or information in class. Make the class an enjoyable one. And in between, teaching should come. So it will not become a burden. And the last point I've given is the most important thing, which our students are missing now. Give opportunity for the students to interact among themselves in an online platform. That usually may be done in an unofficial manner, but see that once you enter the class or once the students are admitted, you can just ask them to switch on their mic and let them interact or give personal chats among themselves, not with the teacher. You say that you are not there, keep silent for some time, let them have that emotional outbreak, because the students, adolescent age especially, or younger learners also, they need to see their friends, they need to be together, they need to get a pacified moment from our friends. All those are there. So if we make platforms for them for this, rather than a teacher dominated situation, initially give them 5-10 minutes for interaction. So that interaction will boost their energy to be in the class, rather than learning the subject, and especially the math subject, which is a fearful, dreadful subject for them. We can make interesting approaches in our online platform through videos, through games, such puzzles which I showed you, no? So it will help the students. They'll come out with answers. Yes, ma'am, I found it. I found the number. That is the motivation. That is the energy that has to be radiated in a classroom situation. And that will definitely help you to generate active learners in us. So I think with this, I wind up. And
thank you, ma'am, for the very interesting session. If any of the participants have any doubts or suggestions, any clarifications needed, you can either unmute your mics and ask it. Or even you can drop your questions on the chat of the YouTube or of the Google Meet.
I took so much of time, I think. I don't know whether we could sit that much and concentrate.
There's one question. Can we give activities in heuristic method of learning?
Yes, we can give activities in the sense you can, if it's in an online platform, you can show the PPT, the activities can be given there. Let them, you can ask questions. The questions is the main essence of heuristic method. The questions that you elicit, the way that you want the answers to come from the students, it's all based on the questions. So activities can be given in a heuristic method. Ask such questions. For example, if you say, volume, I told you about volume of a cone. In the heuristic method, each question that is asked, the students can answer. That should be simple, thought-provoking questions. Each question should encourage them to proceed further on a ladder. That is how heuristic method is adopted in classrooms.
How to encourage slow learners in online class?
That is it. So first I told you, for them, slow learners means they need to concretize the ideas. For them, grasping of information, abstract information is very tough. For that, we need to have concrete examples or situations, models, or anything can be shown, especially with regard to variables when you teach. Relate it with the toffees or relate it with the small items that they purchase. So addition of two variables. If it's like 3x plus 4x, if the child is not confident to come out with the answer, relate x with some toffee. You have 3 toffees and 4 toffees also. I gave you 4 toffees. How many toffees altogether do you have? So 7 toffees. So concretization takes place. But when you want to teach 3x plus 4y, same problem. You have to relate x as notebook, y as pen. You can say you bought 3 notebooks and you bought 4 pens. But you cannot add these two together to say that you bought 7 pens. Books are books, pens are pens. So variables, unlike variables, are different. So slow learners, when you talk to them or when you interact with them, make it concrete. All the aspects should be concrete. Drawn or videos or such things have to be given.
Hello, ma'am. I want to ask one question, ma'am.
Yes.
I wish to understand how to encourage children in junior classes to write down their answers. As we see that when we ask verbal questions, most of the children respond enthusiastically. But
Correct.
when the same is asked in written manner, most of them shy away. So is there a way to improve their enthusiasm in teaching this?
That is it. See, a verbal way of asking questions is very difficult. That is why we see many games like 3 bananas, 4 bananas. You have seen some pictorial representation of things. Children enjoy such things. Small cars, 3 cars, the pictures of 3 cars plus 2 clocks are given, and how do you add? All those things are more encouraging for the learners rather than you say a verbal aspect of it. So whatever you want to say, have it in a diagrammatic way. Just as I showed you the art integrated pedagogy, the cartoon concept, you can introduce that in your class. Small children will definitely enjoy it. The way the figures, numbers talk to each other, the way the shapes talk to each other, they can visualize far better than elder generation. So such things, try to relate it with figures or diagrams, cartoonic shapes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, I couldn't find any further questions. If you have any, you can unmute and ask. I think it was really enriching. From the comments we can see in the chat box, both on the YouTube as well as on the Google Meet. It has been a very much interesting one. Thanks a lot for the wonderful session, and I hope the learnings that our teachers got would be translated into good practices in the classroom, and that's going to transform our both the online and as well as the physical classrooms. So I would like to call upon Ms. Leena Anthony, the principal of MGM High Secondary School, Hatita, Jabalpur, Andhra Pradesh, to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Father. Thank you. All of us have more things to be thankful for than we could even begin the recount in a single day. If we are thankful for what we have and what we get, we are wealthy indeed. With an attitude of gratitude, I thank the Almighty Father for giving us this life, wonderful life, to enjoy this webinar, this session in this manner online. I extend sincere gratitude to our most Reverend Bishop. Thank you, Bishop. We are greatly indebted to Father Dr. Joshi Varghese, DO, Calcutta, for manuring all of us towards great learning. Thank you, Father. Thank you so much. I'm sure today's session has given us the insight of being effective mathematics teachers. I take this opportunity to thank our resource person, Dr. Mrs. Sunila Thomas. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for motivating us. Thank you so much for helping us to be good learners as teachers.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also thank all the principals, all teachers, and all those who were behind the camera, behind the scene, to help us have this webinar. Thank you all. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, Father, for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas with you all.